Hey everyone, I just want to talk about a couple of recent-ish announcements about game franchises near and dear to my heart. Disgaea and Neptunia. Let's go with Neptunia news first because, well, I just decided right now that I'm going to talk about it first. Disgaea 6 Defiance of Destiny has been announced. Perhaps that's not a huge surprise. There have been 6 before, so why not another one? Yes, Disgaea 6 is the 7th game in the series. Remember, there's D2 after all. But there's 2 details specifically that are surprising. For the first time, character models will be 3D, and the game will also be a Nintendo Switch exclusive in the West. That's right, no PS4. At least not here. The story is focused on Zed, a zombie who tries to defeat the god of destruction. Apparently, he has the ability of super reincarnation, so every time he dies, he gets a bit stronger. Along for the ride is his sister Biko and a zombie dog named Cerberus, if that's how you pronounce it. I always forget how you pronounce that name. I just look at the fan art, that's all. In Japan, Disgaea 6 will also get a PS4 release. It's an interesting choice, though, to not have a PS4 version in the West. I bet that means that Disgaea 5 sold considerably more Switch copies compared to the PS4 version. Perhaps it's a good move, as it will be released when the PS5 is already out, January 28th, 2021 in Japan, and sometime during the summer 2021 here. I don't anticipate most people getting a PS5 within the first year, but there's been plenty of games released on older consoles that end up not selling well. 2 examples off of the top of my head are Okami for the PS2, which was released just before the PS3, and Shantae for the Game Boy Color, which came out just after the GBA was released. In the case of Okami, the developer Clover Studio went bankrupt, even though the game is considered one of the best ever made, and often cited as an example of video games as art. And then the Shantae series had a really rocky start because of the terrible sales. It actually took 8 years before they managed to release the second one. And it's only been within the last decade that the Shantae series is really, gathering momentum, I guess. So I think Nippon Ichi is trying to avoid something like that happening. The other big news is that it's going to be in 3D, so no more 2D sprites. From what I can see, the game looks pretty good in the trailer, and the models seem to match the art style of Takahito Harada well. I did notice that the characters do lack that outline that the illustrations have, so it looks, I guess, a bit undefined or perhaps flat occasionally. The character models also seem like they are expressive, but in some angles they look a bit blobby, like a Nendoroid or something. I don't know, I guess we'll see once there's more clear gameplay footage if it's actually gonna look good or not. And it's also gonna be a taste thing as well, not everybody's gonna like the 3D look. I think one of the main reasons that the 2D sprites is good is because no matter what's going on screen, they always look good, because they're drawn well. Whereas with 3D, you're just limited to, whatever the 3D model is or whatever. There's gameplay changes too. An interview with Nippon Ichi's president, Sohei Nikawa, reveals many details. The level cap has risen from 9,999 to 99,999,999, and you're also going to be able to level up quicker. Now, I'm not sure if this is the case, but it seems to me that they're just adding extra digits, which effectively does nothing. Same thing with attack damage. I don't even know what sort of number it is, but one article says it's over 10 quadrillion. Interestingly, a number of speed functions, or speed-up functions, have been added. Auto battle, autoplay, and double speed mode. Stuff like this exists in other turn-based RPGs, so I see no problem with that. Might make grinding a bit easier, and since this stuff is optional, it's not like you're forced to use it if you don't want to. There was also mention of adding things to enhance the feeling of accomplishment. I'm not sure if that's just done with the leveling up being easier, or if there's more to it. I'm sure Disgaea 6 will still be a fun game, even if I don't end up liking the graphics that much. As long as the gameplay feels good and the story is fun, I'll probably enjoy it. I also understand Nippon Ichi's desire to bring something new to the table. Nippon Ichi has been having money problems within the last few years, and they don't want to fall into being a company that doesn't try and innovate with their games and just barely scrape by. There will be a limited edition for both North American and Euro regions. They're both the same from what I can see. There's a box, that's a good start. A hardcover art book, which is pretty cool. Soundtrack, pin set, cloth poster, and steelbook. It does come with a game, which you may think is obvious, but those of you who bought the Disgaea PC LE probably know all too well how it included no game in the package. Not even a download code. That was, believe it or not, just emailed to the customer. Unfortunately, there's no bags of air like in Disgaea 4. On a more serious note, I do wish they'd include some figures again. In Disgaea 4, the Fuka figure looked a bit wonky, but Edna and Flan from D2 and Usalia from Disgaea 5 were pretty decent. Those three have been hanging around, in the shelves of my game collection for a while now. Alright, let's talk about the new Neptunia game for the PlayStation 5. Let's start with the news everybody wants to hear. Go 5 Jigen game Neptune Reverse is a mainline game, but there's a catch. It's just another remake of the first game because, there aren't enough remakes of it already. I have to say, this is very disappointing news. They have done a bunch of tweaks. Here's like a list of all of them. Enhanced game systems, an overhauled user interface, greater expression of scenery and characters, plus a systems tutorial by protagonist Neptune herself. I guess that means the character models will get an overhaul? That'd be nice, but I don't see any evidence of that in the trailer. I like how they also say there will be a greater expression of scenery, yet the trailer shows the characters running through good old Virtua Forest. It does seem to be freshened up a bit, to be fair, but then again, it doesn't look like something the PS4 couldn't handle. I don't see any new animations either. The gameplay looks very similar to the Mark II Victory Rebirth style gameplay we know. I see nothing indicating the use of the V2R playstyle. A second game mode, in addition to the original mode from Hyperdimension Neptunia Rebirth 1 Plus, and Arrange mode with overhauled game balance is also available. In Arrange mode, you can form a party of your favorite 4 characters from the start, regardless of story progress. Sounds a bit like New Game Plus, but I'm guessing you have access to it without having to finish the game? That's the impression I'm getting. Perhaps it's there for people who played the original game, or Rebirth 1, and just want to go into New Game Plus right away. The highest number of playable characters, equipment, and costumes in the series. There are 27 playable characters, including the 4 goddesses, little sisters, guest company characters, aka maker characters, oracles, and more. The equipment and costumes total is over 500. I guess that's cool. Doesn't really make me too excited about the game though. An immersive fishing minigame that utilizes the DualSense wireless controller's haptic feedback and adaptive triggers has been added. Reel in strange game fish modeled after game consoles plus equipment and more. You might even reel in something surprisingly rare. That just sounds like something I wouldn't really care about. I do wonder if it's possible to fish Umio though, if you're lucky or unlucky. Countless arranged and new music plus additional in-game CG. You can also view the scenario text for the original Hyperdimension Neptunia, which Hyperdimension Neptunia Rebirth 1 is based on. New CGs are always cool and so is music. Neptunia is doing a good job with its soundtrack ever since Mark II, but rather than reading through the original Hyperdimension Neptunia transcript, I think it'd be better to just watch the cutscenes on YouTube. Unless you can actually watch them, but it doesn't sound like that's what they're implying. Besides, they couldn't show the maker characters like Gust and Nisa, which further backs up my suspicion there. The game will come out December 17 in Japan. No announcement yet on a Western release, though I'm sure it's coming. But then again, we never got Rebirth 1 Plus, but Reverse is for the PS5, so you'd think they want to release a game for it. So that's the news with Disgaea and Neptunia. Let me know what you think of these announcements. If you know of any more info, I'd like to hear from you as well. I hope that was helpful. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you again in the next video.
PlayStation 5用ソフトウェア 2020年12月17日発売予定。